Alright, it's still early. We got time to kill tonight before I get tired. It's my birthday, so I don't feel like going to bed right away. So I thought I'd go over the evolution of where my bug out bag or my inch bag or whatever you want to call it. Now, most people are familiar with bug out bag. I am kind of like, let's just clarify this. Most people consider bug out bag as a 72-hour bag. Now, to me, they are always a little bit different. Okay, 72 hours. Like, let's be serious. Like, that's a nothing amount of time. If you're maybe outside in freezing conditions and earthquakes, volcanoes, snow, ice, and if the weather's just shit and the conditions are shit, then 72 hours can be a fairly substantial amount of time. But I mean, some of us can just stay awake for 3 days. It's not horrible, horrible, horrible. And I don't like limiting yourself to just thinking I can sit something out for 3 days. You need to think, I think you need to think more along the lines of independence. If the support net that we have now, falls, you got to think about that. What would make it fall? And if it's collapsed, then you're going to be needing more than 3 days of preparation. You're going to need to prepare yourself for long term. Okay, which is more the inch bag type of philosophy. The inch being, I'm never coming home. Kind of cute. So, as you know, like where I live in Canada, the terrain here is brutal. Carrying 70 pounds of gear here is, okay, let's just say it's possible, alright? In a normal situation where you can walk, 10, 30 meters, stop for a breath or two, and push on, which is kind of what you need to do when you're wearing and bearing these kinds of supreme loads. I'm talking like 60 to 100 pounds. And some of you guys have seen your bags, and you're going to be carrying easily 60 pounds of gear. Guns, ammunition, like even binoculars. I mean, optics weigh, they're heavy. You can get a single telescopic single lens, but everything weighs. In this country around here, 70 pounds. Like, I do it all the time, but not in one of those escape and evade situations. Not in a situation where you've got to move, alright? This is where these kits and the weights come in. Now, the terrain I'm in, even in the best of times, if you're not carrying anything, just the fatigue of going up these hills gets you hot and gets you sweaty, which can kill you, or help to kill you at the very least, several months of the year. People with a low constitution, even in the summertime, wouldn't enjoy sweating as it takes to get up here and then shiver their ass through the night. You can die of hypothermia in the middle of the summer. Some of us are a little more rough and we can do it, but not everybody can. Especially these people that make these bags, never practice them, never take their goodies out of their packaging, and then think, well, I've got all the goodies, I'm going to head off in the woods and be just fine when shit hits the fan. The reality is you're going to be deader than shit, and someone's going to pick up your gear and say thanks a lot. Now, back to my bag, now that that's out of the way. So I've learned over the last year and a half of coming out here and hiking these hills, I keep my basic, most important necessities on me in a modular system, with the most fantastically important always on me, to the next level of always should have on me, and then to my luxury items. Now, I tend to keep anything in my backpack is a luxury item. Sniffle items, what they call them. I think the Marines call them. Okay, your sniffle gear. That's where I will carry my sleeping bag. Okay, my extra clothing. I don't have my full complete winter bag here because I just brought my 2 basic levels with me while I go out hunting. This is my base camp here, so I've got most of my goodies here anyway. So a lot of the time, if I was bugging out or escaping and evading, this would be one of the places I'd be getting to reorientate myself, get my bearings, and then continue on with whatever direction I decide I should need to take. Alright, so my very basic, never leave camp ever for any reason, is my neck knife. Now this is a fairly substantial neck knife for some of you folks, but I love my neck knife. So, okay, my neck knife, Columbia River knife and tool, okay, a Cricket Ultima. It's a combat knife. This is very sharp. I have cut myself badly twice just by being a dingbat, by drawing it out and not thinking where my fingers were. It's very thick-edged. Now, it's pretty heavy, and even though it's a thick edge and a thick blade, it's designed for combat, you know, it's very substantial. I have to say, I do not believe in batoning with knives. It just seems criminal to me. And I know some of that'll get your panties in a bunch, and I don't particularly care because it's just the way I was brought up, is you gotta use the proper tool for the proper job. I sure as hell wouldn't want to be person banging on his knife with a stick in the dead of winter and everything's brittle and you look down and half your knife is still in your hand and the other half is on the ground. That's just not an acceptable situation. So for splitting wood and whatnot, I carry this now. I have a rope that I sometimes carry it with, just to put a sheath over it. I just hang it underneath my arm and let it swing free. But I've also got a belt thing I've designed for it, and I can hang and stick it underneath my hip pouch. Okay. Now, the Fiskars I like. It's very, very light. And I do a lot of my splitting. I don't split from the end, as I lay a log down and I'll just whack it right down its length several times. It's a technique I learned as a kid cutting stones, actually. And you can just whack it very slow. It doesn't take a whole lot of calories. Alright, now I also have in the back of my lean-to here a full-size cutting axe, which is pretty much a necessity if you want to be doing long-term up here in the northern bush. But for on my person, this is fine for emergency situations. Long-term, big axe, emergency, little thing. Now, if you ever see me batoning on a knife, it's only because I've probably gone insane and do not have the proper tool for the proper job on me. And it's one of those things where I will carry the extra, 3 or 4 pounds of proper tool than risk breaking an important main tool doing something it was never really designed to do. But now, of course, some guys like Bass Fury 6. Big boys like big knives that you can hammer on. If it's a big blade, then go away. You carry on, have fun, bang away. But if it's a little dinky knife that you spent $60, $80, $300 for, why in the bloody hell are you going to smash it with a mallet? Okay, anyway, my pet peeve. Back to the gear. Okay, so let's go down the left side. Now, in the top left, always in my top left, first aid. Rip it open right off the hop, because one thing I hate is getting things in my eyes, so I have some Visine. Pretty common in the bush and the wind and stuff gets in your eye. Boom. Second most common use item is aspirin and painkillers. Okay? So I got my eye drops. I have aspirin. Now, because I'm in the bush a lot, and I could injure myself, could be gushing blood and not able to stop the bleeding, you might need an extra hand or finger. So before if I can find an artery, hydroceps, alright, these are locking clamps. You can get in there, clamp her down, good to go. Hopefully wouldn't have to get that far. And then of course we have medical scissors. And then inside the pocket itself, I have a container that I stuck in there. And inside there, I've got various cold and allergy pills. I have a magnifying glass that was my grandmother's, believe it or not, that I can not only use for finding objects inside of wounds, but I can also use it for starting fires as a backup system. And then of course I have iodine in there for treating wounds and cleansing water. And I also have, oops, that's crazy, of course, Murphy's Law. I have some iodine and some ointments for cuts. I've got an eyedropper for administering. Just the regular little goodies in there. Okay. Now, I don't carry a lot of bandages and whatnot and have what. I'm trained in first aid. I believe in pressure application to stop the bleeding. I believe in keeping the wounds clean with very, very clean water. Now, one of the best, well, not one of the best, probably the single best thing for cleaning wounds isn't alcohol, isn't iodine, it's water. Clean water. Boil water, get it in there. If you're in the bush, find a pine tree, cut it, get some pitch, jam some pitch in there, bind it together, good to go. Alright. Next, second pocket down, left side. Oh, by the way, this is the American military, I'm not sure if it's Gen 2, Gen 3 weight distribution vest. So, I have in here my pipe for recreation. I have a compass, alright, and then I have in a plastic container, okay, right here, I have antibacterial biodegradable soap. So as I said, nothing better than cleaning the wounds in clean water. And antibacterial soap has a lot of uses. Instead of carrying little packs of alcohol swabs and silly little cleaners and whatnot, one bar of soap like that. You can use it for medicinal purposes. You can use it for cleaning yourself. You can use it as shampoo. You can use it for cleaning your clothes. In the old days, a bar of soap is what you used for everything. So it's really effective to carry in the bush. Now, the bottom pocket on this, what we have is my fishing kit. Alright. Quite a few meters of fishing line wrapped around an old medicine container. It's jammed full of hooks of various sizes, sinkers, and assorted various plastic attractors, like little fake grubs and whatnot. And then beside that, which I don't want to pull out because it's a bugger to stick back in there, is a roll of very, very high tensile repair thread and a very large needle that you could sew everything from denim to canvas and leather with. Okay, so we get over to the other side. So the very top pocket, we pop it up, boom. I've got my spoon, okay. I have a bunch of cotton balls in a plastic bag. I have a container of virgin olive oil, okay. Fat's one of the hardest things to get out in the wild. And then also inside there I have some coffee filters for filtering water. I have some electrolyte water mixes, alright, so I can replenish calcium and other such minerals and trace elements from all the sweating and exertion. And then I've got a container in the bottom of one-a-day multivitamins for men. Alright, so they're pretty complete. So even if I didn't have food, I would have vitamins and minerals to add to water, which would get me through a long time. Okay. Now, the second pocket down is my light and fire. So I have a railvac crank flashlight. Okay, this got two settings, one LED and three. Very bright, easy to work, just crank and away you go. It used to also be solar powered, but I broke it. Things don't last long sometimes, so this is what you find out in solar panels are fairly fragile, shall we say, in some of the environments that I've been in. And then below that, in a plastic bag, what I have is a bottle of lighter fluid beside a Zippo lighter. Okay, so the fluid is in the jar full. The lighter has been filled up as much as possible. Then it's been wrapped completely in plastic and then bound in rubber bands so that not so much that the water doesn't get at it, but more so that the existing fuel doesn't evaporate. It will evaporate over time out of both the bottle and the lighter unless you check it every couple weeks or months and top it off. But it's one of my surefire methods of making sure I can get something going in the dead of winter, the crappiest of conditions. If I lose my flints, if I lose my magnifying glasses, then my last resort is lighter fluid and a Zippo lighter. Okay, so then, now on that side bottom pocket, I tend to keep the ammunition for whatever particular firearm I'm carrying. So this is a backup magazine of 303 Lee Enfield rounds. I have the other magazine in the rifle. Okay. Now, I have the hip pouches now. Okay, so I have distribution system vest attached to a belt. So the very front of the belt, as you can see, I've got a multi-tool. It's exactly a Leatherman, but it's got all the goodies that Leathermans have. Right, pliers, knives, saws, blades, screwdrivers, and etc. Fairly handy. Then I have a hip pouch number one. Now, this hip pouch, I tend to keep, let's just say, some sniffle gear and hunting gear. I'll keep my, let's see, my goggles I'll keep in there, okay, for if it gets windy in the winter. I have my mosquito netting. Now, I'm hunting, so I've got some of my calls in there. I also tend to keep a filleting knife in there. So if I need an exceptionally sharp blade, it's also very light, I have it. And I also keep my gun kit. Now, this is something. Before I get to the gun kit, I'll show you what else. It's just my general tool and sniffle pouch. This is a military issue sewing kit, okay? And then I've got a vinyl repair kit for air mattresses and what have you nots, like tents and stuff. Good to be able to repair the things that you have. Alright, so let's stick all this back in here and we'll get back to the gun kit. Now, I've seen a lot of people with guns and ammunition in their kits, but one of the singular most important parts of firearms is maintenance. You use them a whole lot. You can get dirty. And normal people just go to the gun range, shoot their guns, and they go back to their home, and it's just dirty, and they clean it. But if you're out in the bush, if you're bugged out, then you're going to have moisture problems, okay? Rain, grit, dirt, okay? Your firearms are going to fall apart in a short order unless you keep care of them. So, I, of course, have my kit. Now, this change is a little bit relevant to what weapons I'm carrying. But right now, I have a couple of bore snakes. I've been hunting with my 12 gauge, so I've got my 12 gauge bore snake in there. And then I've got my bore snake for my 303. I've got various brushes in there, pins, and I carry this M-Pro 7. It's an oil and cleaner combination that apparently is pretty popular with some of the military boys. And I got some pipe cleaners in there, and just regular goodies that you need for basic firearm maintenance. You have to maintain your tools. If you don't maintain your tools are not going to maintain you, and that's for sure. Alright. Left hip pouch is my kitchen. Alright, so pretty much in my kitchen I carry an old protein container that I keep my coffee and tea and sugar in, and whatever little goodies I might be bringing with me, if I'm bringing anything like that with me. And then I've got a separate little metal flask of powdered milk. I love to bring powdered milk in the bush. A teaspoon goes a long way. It's a good source of protein and carbohydrates, and it's very nice to have at the end of the day in your tea or coffee. And then I have a 1 liter Nalgene water bottle that's inside an old tin can from apple juice. And then I have my rump pack. And my rump pack, what I tend to keep in there is my vinyl poncho. Okay, 100% rain gear. I have a Gore-Tex jacket that I wear when I'm out and about, but it is not 100% rainproof. You need something that is 100% rainproof if you're going to be bugging out or inching out, alright? If you get wet and damp, especially out here when it's going to be minus 10 degrees, and soon it'll be minus 20, minus 30 degrees, you will die a horrible death. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Now, the clothing I wear on me, I consider an environment in and of itself. The trick for me out here is being able to move without sweating too much. And if I sweat, it's got to have a clothing system that'll pull the moisture out and dissipate it fairly quickly. Alright, I'm starting to wander